Hello, this is Michael J. King. Today I'm going to be showing you my 2008 Kantele making video. Please excuse the black bars on either side. This was before YouTube became high definition, and the video was shot mostly with a handheld video camera, holding one hand while I was using the saw with the other. So the shots are a bit unpredictable. I couldn't shoot inside my workshop at the time because the light was too dim. So some of the shots are a little bit compromised, but the whole point of the video I made at the time was to support the ebook that I brought out, which is still available, but it's also been updated recently, and it's on the Kantele Making CD-ROM, which has all the plans of my instruments now. Hello, welcome to my Kantele making video. In the next couple of clips, I will show you how to make, tune, and then play your 5-string Kantele. This part is the head of the Kantele. It's the bird's head piece. 5 strings. And this is called the tailpiece or the ponsi in Finnish. And this is a metal bar. It's about 6. This is 6 millimeters, or you can use 1/4 inch. Some people use nails. You can buy metal rods, which is what I prefer to use. And these are the rubber feet I put on. Some people prefer to have wooden feet. For myself, I don't like the instrument sliding around on a table too much, so I find the rubber ones a lot better. The nice thing about Kantele making is there's lots of room for creative expression in the way you choose to do the style of the head. The only important parts are the string lengths, the spacing down here, and the spacing here. Everything else, apart from the thickness of the soundboard and the frame, is really cosmetic, and so you can choose to make this part as complicated or as easy as you like. Some people just make it plain without the head at all, but that's up to you. The timbre we use. Now for this instrument, I've made it up of separate pieces of wood. So there is a separate piece going down here, separate piece going down here, and laminated pieces of wood in the middle. This is the timber I've used. This is American black walnut. This is how I buy it. It tends to be flat sawn, and what I do is I slice it up into strips, plane it, thickness it, and then I laminate it together for strength. And the same with the tail piece. This piece here is laminated. There's at least 2 pieces of wood going across there. And you can see there's the undercut here, which is all cut out before it's all glued in. This is what the plans look once you printed them out. This long piece is going to be the side. This short piece goes here. To make the head section, we have to laminate several pieces of walnut. I've basically taken a wider walnut board and cut it into half. This is glued up. There are many different ways to inlay your Kantele. You can buy bandings, which are made for decorating boxes. You can also buy inlays for guitars. You can buy inlay for, which is called purfling, for violins and cellos. To glue the Kantele up, we will be using tight bond adhesive. In this video, it's important to spread the glue evenly and to make sure that it has a nice even join. Clamping the Kantele Clamping the Kantele up is very simple. You need to clamp it first to a flat surface, and then clamping the bottom part is not too hard. However, the upper part of the head, because of the angles involved, need a little bit more care. Jumping forward to 2014, these days I tend to use a little trick to glue up. I create a temporary clamping point using a C-clamp, and then use my Wolfcraft clamp to clamp it up. You can print off extra plans from the download and use these to cut out the individual shapes for the head and for the tailpiece. In this example, I'm showing how the head is separated from the soundboard, and you can use this to help set the angle and work out what kind of inlay you'd like to put in between the instruments. This is a sanded stick, very simply made. A piece of sandpaper attached to a 2x2 piece of timber. This is so that the soundboard butts up against the headpiece nice and straight.
This is available from Guitar Luthier's Supplies. You can also use strips of veneer or a strip of wood. I've sometimes used a strip of maple sandwiched between pieces of walnut. It's unlikely that the purfling will be the same depth as the soundboard and the headpiece, so you will either have to create a ledge or you will have to put a larger piece of veneer underneath the decoration. Here I've used a router to make a ledge. Work out the placement of the soundboard and the head. Use the plans and plan it all out. These days I tend to put little pins in on the tail end that will be covered up by the tailpiece later in order to hold the soundboard in the right place. You can use masking tape just to mark out where everything needs to go, then make some pencil marks so that you can match those up later. Use as many clamps as you can to glue the soundboard to the frame. I'm only using a few in this example, but these days I tend to use quite a number. You can never have too many clamps, really. If everything is flat, everything should go together well, and there should be a nice little bead on the inside of glue, on the inside of the Kantele. You may have to double check that nothing slips, and also double check that there's no warped pieces. Once the glue is dried, what I then do is use a router bit generally, but before I do that I normally whittle half of it off with a knife. You don't want to take huge amounts off with a router or it could tear, so I tend to whittle away as close as I can and then use the router just to trim everything up. If you haven't got a router, just use sandpaper or a file. They'll take a little tiny bit longer, but they'll still work fine. Instead of tracing the design onto the head, you can use a spare copy of the plans and glue the pattern onto the headstock. This way all the tuning pins and all the holes can easily be seen. Now drilled all the holes and we're ready to start carving the headpiece. Now first I make a cut here and then a cut here to take off this initial piece. This enables us to see exactly where we want to go with this. You can see I've just made two lines on the back here and on the side here. Now this shows where the saw cuts are going to be. There's only two saw cuts to do this. To make our first saw cut, we clamp the Kantele down onto a board. We make some starting cuts and we link these together so that we have a groove in which we can cut. More. Okay, now we're going to make a saw cut, and it's just slightly at an angle. Checking the mark along here that you're not going too far. It's better to go too little at this stage than to go too far. For the next cut, we're going to use a vise, making sure that we've got some wooden face guards inside there. and we're going to attach that to our workbench. Now we're going to saw down the line. As before, we'll mark that line with a thin cutter first, just to establish. It's very nice and easy, does it? When you're doing this, you may want to check the drawings to make sure that you've got the right sizes. I've done this many times, so I'm just following by eye, basically. There we go. This time we want to keep the blade straight, if you can. Change to a side. Okay. Halfway through cutting, you can stop to see how far your saw cutting is going. You can use your saw as a depth gauge. So you can do that. Okay, now we're going to use a shoulder plane to clean up this work. If you don't want to use a shoulder plane, you can also use a sanding stick, which is just a square piece of timber with some sandpaper attached to it. Okay, I'm just adjusting the shoulder plane to give it a bit more cutting power. There we go. This is a small smoothing plane which I use to clean up this side. Okay. This is a sanding stick I've made. I think that's a 120 grit, but you can go down to 80 or even 60. This will just clean up some of the rough edges in the corner there. Again, turning around the other way to do the face. That's nearly there. to make Kantele cases, I tend to use either recycled pine or spruce, and use very strong miller dowels. These lock in so you don't have to clamp up as you're building the instrument. That in combination with Type Bond 2 glue is a very good way to go. Either plywood or MDF for the top and bottom, although you could use solid pine, but for bigger instruments, solid pine can split, so you have to be wary. tuning we're going to use on this instrument is the D major tuning. Now in Finland, G is often used as well, but the D major is very good for playing with other instruments, and it sounds very nice. The lowest note is tuned to D. Next note E. The next note F sharp. Next note G. And the highest note is tuned to A. Now there are different ways of tuning in. You can use a piano or a keyboard, or you can use the MP3 that I provide from my website with the sound file on it. Alternatively, what I found sometimes useful is I always have a tin whistle on me. Tin whistles, they come in lots of different keys, but the main one is actually the key of D, used in Irish music and folk music in general. Now the lowest note on here, which is with all the finger holes closed, this acts like a pitch pipe. This is the note D. Now what you need to do is to tune the lowest note of your Kantele to the same note. When you're using the tuning key, you insert the key and you pluck the string as you turn. Now just detuning it, so as an example. That's just a bit sharp. Okay. Now there are sometimes you have to, with new strings, you may have to stretch them a little bit while you're tuning. But once you've tuned it in, they tend to keep their tuning and keep their relative tuning to each other, which is quite handy. Okay, that's the first note. Now the next note. Now that note's just a little bit sharp, so I'm just going to... And the next one. And the next one. To play chords on the Kantele, you damp the strings with the left hand and strum with the right hand, either using the plectrum or your fingertips, or if you have them, fingernails. The sound you make with the plectrum is the loudest, and the fingertips are probably the softest. The first chord we're going to play is the chord of D. To play the chord of D, we place one finger on the G string, one finger on the E string. When you press, you're not actually pressing down at all, you're just touching it very lightly, so that if you were to pluck the string, it would make a dud sound. Now try to keep your hand in this higher region over here. If you keep your fingers in the middle, sometimes you accidentally play the harmonics. Which you don't want to do at this stage when you're playing. Okay, so fingers on. That's your D chord. Now the next chord will be the chord of G. Thumb on the highest note and two fingers here. And then the A chord. And then to return we come back to the D chord. Now there are many songs that you can get through with just playing those three chords. wide, I cannot cross over. Neither have I the wings to fly, so I'll build a boat that'll carry two, and both shall roll, my love and thine. Oh, the water is wide, I cannot cross over. Neither have I the wings to fly, so I'll build a boat that'll carry two, and both shall roll, my love and thine. Hello, welcome to part 2 of the Kantele Playing Guide. The 3 tunes that we're learning today are all in D major tuning, and the examples are all found in the Fishbone Kantele tune book, written by Lani K Thompson and available as a download or as a printed book. The advantage of the download is that it has the music files embedded in the PDF document. The first tune that we're going to be doing is called Little Acorns. Just wait for my program to search for this. Okay, I'm just going to make it a little larger. Okay, if we click on the multimedia file and open it, we can get a listen to how it should sound. Your left hand, middle 3 fingers play the middle 3 strings, and your right hand thumb and index finger take care of the high A string and the low D string.
Welcome to my Kantele playing guide. Today we're looking at the D minor tuning. Now the tuning is probably the most popular tuning used on the 5-string Kantele. It's very evocative of the northern landscape. It has a slight melancholy to it, which is very beautiful. Now to change our tuning from D major to D minor, all we have to do is to flatten the middle F sharp note, flatten that to F natural. Okay. The chords used in this key are similar to the chords you learned for the D major tuning, only they have different names now. For example, the D chord is now the D minor chord, and again the A is the A minor chord, and the G is the G minor chord, and then back to D. Hello, welcome to part 4 of my Kantele playing guide. Chords on the Kantele is to use a stick, a chopstick, a pencil, or a piece of wood, or for example I'm using a ruler, and we basically use it like a hammer dulcimer. We hammer all the strings though, instead of just one string.
can try different techniques. This one I made is just a simple stick. The horsehair is about 50 or 60 strands tied together with a knot at this end. Now the plans to make this should be online on my bowed psaltery page on my website. To use the bow, we just bow slightly in front of the tuning pin. Okay, to play a tune on the D string, you just you press a little harder than you would if you were damping the string, and you basically slide up to the note you want. To do vibrato, you just gently press the string in and out just a little bit. To reduce the tack on the masking tape, stick the masking tape onto another surface first. That way it won't have much power and will be easy to take off the instrument. Take a pen or a pencil or some other round object and roll it along until you get a clear note. It should sound something like a bell, very pure. Okay, and then you simply mark just below okay, and then do the same for the next string. And the same for the next string. Next string. Okay, that's the main octave harmonic. Now to play the other harmonics, we need to carry on each string. Here we go. Next string. Next string. and the next string. Okay. I haven't marked on the harmonics near the head end because the tuning pins can get in the way. Now the octave harmonic can be used as a substitute for a piccolo cantele. It's also the easiest to play. An alternative to the piece of paper would be to use self-adhesive dots, which you can buy from any stationery shop, or you can make your own using a hole punch. Hello, welcome to the fifth part of my Kantele playing guide. So the lowest string is D, followed by E, followed by G, followed by A, and the high note on the 5-string Cantele will be a B string. then drop another note into it. You can change the rhythm. Change the order. Okay, always remember that the Kantele is your teacher, and if you play with it long enough, it will teach you everything else you need to know. Good luck.